लाइट ऑफ
Okay, okay, guys. Like I will get started. So yeah, I got late in office today. So yeah, the batch also be postponed by an hour. So okay, we'll quickly start because it's late now for us also. It's almost 10. Right? Okay. Right. So today I'll take a probably a 50-minute session or something. So I will not take a long session. Okay. So now. So today, right, so we'll just continue with where we left in our previous session. So generally from today, right, so it is important. We discussed, if I remember right, so we discussed all of us, the sections in a report, right? So we completed with dynamic aggregation, we completed with different views of a report and then different sections of a report. Yes? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now, okay, so basically what we'll do is we'll just try to get through. Okay, so this is a basic thing, but again, uh, today also, right? So in one of our interview, they asked this question also, the basic question. So what are the different types of filters you have used in your project? So when it comes to say MicroStrategy, right? So under the MicroStrategy, so we'll be applying different types of filters like a report filter is one thing. So we have seen that report filter definition, right? So that is one thing. And apart from that, so what we do basically is we make use of a view filter, and then apart from say view filter, we'll have the report limit. So these are the three different types of filters we'll be using as a developers. So when you say as an admin, for an admin, there will be another type of filter which will be a security filter. So when you say you are a developer, so you will work any developer or architect, right? So you should know these three types of filters: report filter, then you have a view filter, and then a report limit. And again, under view filter and then report limit. But again, when it comes to report limit, right? So when it comes to a report limit, so under this particular report limit, again there are different classes. Sorry. So under the report filter, again we have various classifications. So when you want to apply condition on an attribute, like use a different type, or else whenever you want to apply condition on metric, use a different thing. So based on that, the report filter, right, again is classified into different types. So the first basically among that is attribute qualification, and the second one you have is a set qualification, and then basically third one you have is a shortcut to report, or the same thing some people will refer as a report as filter. And apart from that, you do have shortcut to filter, and then the other one you do have as a advanced qualification. Okay, so these are the different types under the report filter. So again, just try to understand here. So you have three types of filters: report filter, view filter, and then report limit. So again, under report filter, again there are different types, and these are the different sub classifications, and we'll understand it. I mean, to understand all these particular concepts, right? So it will take probably 4 hours for us to understand all these things, whatever is mentioned here. And next 4 hours, we'll just try to concentrate slowly on each one of them. So this will be agenda, I say, for next 4 hours. So let's say today probably an hour, like close to hour, and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, 1.5 hour, then we should be good to complete. Let's see how it goes. So first thing, I'll just start with report filter, a basic report filter, and then we'll see what is a view filter, and we will try to figure out what are the primary differences between report filter and view filter. So once we know this basics and we know how to apply this particular, we already seen, again we'll say, so to apply these basic filters, now we'll just get into some more details as in, okay, report filter can be applied on what, view filter can be applied on what. So what do limitations we have in view filter, or what limitations we have in a report limit. So those things we'll just see today, and then basically, so once we start tomorrow, right, we'll start with the types of the report filter, the types of the report filter. So once we are done with this, then we'll see report limit, and then try to understand so all three differences, because this is where in an entry they ask you, so which scenario, when you have three different types of filters, right, so how do you take a decision that okay, which filter use and which requirement, right? So those things you need to be clear by end of the I mean the filters concept. So the differences between three is key, and there are two different things basically we use: attribute qualification and set qualification. So as per interview, they'll ask you the set qualification. Uh, what is that question? I'll tell you. So under set qualification, there will be something called relationship filter, and that relationship filter, and the next thing, shortcut to report. So the differences between that two, because again they do the same purpose. So that is another interview question, and they may ask you one question on advanced qualification. So I can say in an interview, if it is a good interview, probably they'll ask you in filters only 3 to 4 questions on this whatever concepts. So next 4 hours you can expect 4 different questions in a any interview, be it like 2 plus, be it 4 plus, be it 9 plus, whatever years of experience you are putting up. So on that lines, let's try to understand basically how to apply that filter and what are the primary differences between that two, report filter and then the view filter. So okay, I'm just getting to that demo reports. So just get into MicroStrategy tutorial, and then so just go to say public objects, and then we created our own folder, right? So just I'm getting to that under reports, so the demo reports. Okay, so under this, so for an example, so just right click here, then get to new, and then try to create up a report. So just go there, right click, create new report. Okay, so you have placed here, like I mean whatever is required, I mean just try to place on your report first thing. So I just go here, and then say for example, just come over here. So I want to see year wise, just select year wise. I want to see category and then subcategory sales, assume for a minute. So category and then subcategory, right? So those belongs, I mean generally from the word, right? So category subcategory belongs to the products one. So just go to products, under products, so just select category and then select subcategory, and once you have that one, here category then subcategory, so just get to metrics, under metrics, so just go to say for example sales metric, under sales metric, so just try to place your profit, and then just scroll down little bit, and then say for example just try to place revenue. So for a minute I haven't applied any condition, I've just placed my year category, subcategory, profit, and then say for example revenue. So let's try to run this report and look at this particular report now. It is showing up say 72 different rows here, and whatever profit you see is a subcategory of arts and architecture which belongs to books, and for the 2010 similarly you see the same thing for 2011 2012 because these 3 years data we have in our project. So if you just scroll a little bit down, you see the same thing. So same books, right? So if you look arts and science, this is 36,000 books, and then for the 2011 similarly for 2012 and so on. Fine. So now this is a complete data which we have in the database. Why I'm saying, because we haven't applied any filter. So without applying filter and you try to run the report, it pulls you complete data from the database, complete data from the database. So once you got this specific data, alright, so what you want to do basically is you don't want the complete data. So instead you want only 1 year data, assume. You want only 1 year data, or you want one specific, say for example under category only on specific things. You don't want all four. Instead you want to have electronics and then music, and then you want to look at this profit here. The profit, you look, some particular profits are 26,000, some are greater than 1 lakh. So I want to pull only say the list of subcategories where my profit is in excess of 30,000, is in excess of $30,000, or like say below 10,000. I want to keep, see where and where like have like below 10,000, and I see basically there my business is not going good and so on. So on that lines I want to apply condition on profit, or else I want to apply condition on subcategory. I want to apply condition on category or a year. So we make use of that filters whatever we have seen. So on that lines, right, so I want to apply now say for example condition on the year, assume for a minute. So you want to apply condition on the year, so that if you look at this particular year currently, so it is displaying 2010, it is displaying 2011, and then it is displaying 2012. So in a real time, if you have 10 years data, all 10 years gets displayed here. But say for example you want to display only the latest or the current year, assume for a minute. So in this one I know 2012. So for which, on a simple thing, what I do is I just get into design view. So before executing of this report itself, so what I do basically is I'm going to apply a condition. So how do I apply that condition is simply just go to view here at this particular option. So view, and then within the view, so just place your report filter definition. So just click on this one. So once you do it, a section gets added, and there is a section wherein you can add your report filter here. So just double click on this, and once you double click on this, you have this one, add an attribute qualification. Just click OK. So once you click OK, then you could see here now attribute here, right? So this particular attribute, so just click on this one, browse, and then on which attribute I want only for year 2012, right? So it shows different attributes or all attributes in the project. So just come over here, and then say for example I select year elements in list, then click on add, and then I select 2012, then click OK, and then once again click OK. So now if you look at this report here, the difference between earlier report to this report is, earlier report you didn't have this condition. So when you don't have this condition, it goes to database and pulls the complete data. But now as it has this condition defined here in the report filter, so what it does basically is, as soon as you click on a run, it passes to first metadata, fine. After metadata, the control goes to SQL engine, right? So in the SQL engine, it is going to create this condition. It writes that select clause. Below that select, there will be a where clause. If people know, anyone know basic SQL, so there will be a where clause. In the where clause, it is going to define this where year in 2012. So what it does basically is, before it goes to database, in the SQL query, it is going to write this condition: don't fetch data for all the rows. Instead, fetch data only for this criteria, only for this condition. So it goes to that table, doesn't search for all the rows. Instead, it searches only the rows with year in list 2012, and then it brings data only for that particular years itself. So if you want to see it practically, so just click on run. So once you run, look at here, and the rows has been reduced to 24. So by 3, in other words 72 by 3. So and then you could see now 2012, and only that data is getting displayed here. And basically the SQL, if you go there in the SQL view, I just get into SQL view. In my SQL view, if you just look at this specific thing here, if you just scroll little bit down, forget about all things. So just try to observe here at this specific place here. So wherever I am highlighting, so you see a condition like year ID in 2012. So what does that mean is, so from that particular year list, get the data only for year 2012, and whenever you apply that report filter condition, you can see that particular condition defined where means in the where clause of the SQL. So in the select query, there will be a where clause. In the where clause, once you apply a filter, it is going to add that condition. It is going to add that condition. So it goes to data warehouse with this condition. So hence it doesn't consider any other data except year 2012, and it only brings that data. It only brings that data. So clear on like, okay, what is difference without filter and applying a filter condition? So without filter it brings the complete data, and with filter it brings data based on certain criteria, based on certain condition, based on certain criteria or based on certain condition. So is that point clear, guys, or any questions so far? Understood what is the basic purpose of filter at least? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now on the other lines, basically, now if you look at this, once you have executed your report, on top of this, say for example, I want to see only books or else movies, right? So I want to see only two certain categories here, right? So on that particular lines, I want to apply a condition. So after execution of a report, so you just go to view. In the view, you don't find that report filter definition. So after execution of a report, you want to apply condition. So on that particular lines, you need to get to view. Under the view, you need to get to view filter. So just select this one. So now already the section got selected. So it has been disabled. So now just go here. Again select view filter. So you see a section here at the top above your report template. You see a section there, which is a view filter section. So in that particular view filter, you want to apply some condition assume. You want to apply some condition in the view filter section. So in order to do it, very simple, just click here to start a qualification on which field, whether it should be on year, category or subcategory, whatever you want you can do, profit or revenue. So just click on this particular field and then write. So what I'm doing is I'm just selecting, for an example, category in list, or else I just don't want only one thing, say basically. So just for example, not in list, select elements, and then for a minute assume I don't want, say for example, movies. Click OK, then click on apply. So once you do it, so this is what you get it. So year, and then you see a condition now. Movies is getting displayed on the report means no. Movies we have removed based on the condition we have applied in the view filter. View filter, what we have done, I don't want movies. I am just writing a condition. Category not in list means exclude movies from category and bring all the values. You want to include certain values instead of not in list, right? So you need to give in list. If you give in list, it brings only movies. So based on your condition, you make use of in operator or not in operator. Fine. So this is how you have applied your condition. So now what thing you have applied condition? You have applied condition on category, not in list movies. Means you have applied condition on category. So let's get to the same SQL. So I just go to SQL. In the SQL view, so just try to observe here near the year. So year ID in 2012. So year ID in 2012. So if you look at this specific thing, year ID in 2012, so you see a condition here defined, and then there is no condition as such. Category ID in list. Category ID not in, that movies is not there. The reason it is not there basically is, look at this specific thing here. So your view filter is going to calculate where means at the analytical engine, similar like your dynamic aggregation yesterday or in our previous session, how it gets calculated at analytical engine. Even the view filter, right, the condition gets calculated or the view filter gets evaluated at the analytical engine, so whenever you are applying the view filter, so let me show you again. So I'm just clearing my view filter and then I just come over here. Okay, so let me click on clear, then click on apply. So now you see movies here. I just come here and then go to field. Within a field I want to apply say a condition, for example on, for example profit, assume profit, then I want to see all the profit greater than, say type a value, profit greater than say I have some values. If you look at here less than, I mean say 10,000 or something, right, 4,000 and so on. So I provide a condition such that I want only the list of subcategories wherein my profit is greater, profit is greater than 10,000. So just apply that condition, click on this, apply, that's it. So now if you look at, right, from say the number of rows, right, they have been decreased basically from, so what a number we had basically earlier. So now if you look, basically the number has been reduced, or you have seen a values. Okay, so you have seen a values of less than that particular 72 or something, right? So sorry, you have seen a values less than 10,000, and after you applied, right, so that particular profit whatever we could see is greater than that particular 10,000. So in that particular case, what is that point I just want to tell you is, so whenever you use view filter, right, so this view filter gets evaluated, means the condition of the report filter, whatever report filter you're applying, it gets calculated at the SQL engine. It gets calculated at the SQL engine. Whereas when you apply view filter you can apply in the design view as well. So a lot of people, another confusion, basically view filter means only after execution. That is a, incorrect statement. So now if you look at this same report, I'm just running out with a, say, different combination here. Say for example, I just go here, then say for example I want a region, and then say for example I have an employee, and then go to metrics, under metrics. So I've just went into sales metric, under sales metric I'm just placing out my profit here, and then just for an example I'll just show you a normal report. So with full data, from there we'll apply conditions. So just try to run this report. So once you run this particular report here, you could see here now a central, mid-Atlantic, say northeast, northwest, and so on. Basically, you see a different options here basically. And apart from that, what else I require basically is So here instead of all regions, I want to display only few regions, say probably only which are belongs to south or which belongs to both south and north. So I want to apply that condition. So if I know that condition prior, then what I do is instead of fetching complete data from my database, so what we do basically is we apply a report filter. So whatever condition you create in the report filter, right? So that particular report filter is going to be added at the SQL engine. So if you remember, SQL engine, then query engine, then data warehouse, and then analytical engine. Do you remember that steps, guys? SQL engine, query engine, data warehouse, and then analytical engine. Okay, fine. So now basically, now what I am doing is I'm just applying some condition. Just try to focus here. So I want the regions of only south and north. So I'm just applying a report filter. So just double click here, add an attribute qualification. Under that attribute qualification, so just click on browse. Under the browse, so just go to say you want to apply condition on region. So region will be present where means in the geography folder. So just select that, then choose which attribute you want to apply condition. So I want to apply condition on region elements in list. Okay, so now basically once you click, you get all the list of elements from which I'm just selecting south, southeast, then say for example northeast, then say northwest, then click OK. And once you do it, click OK, and then click on once again OK, and then just try to run this. So once you see, now you see only regions, like earlier there was central, mid-Atlantic, web. So all these three regions has been eliminated, and you could see this one. So again you want to confirm the same point, whether it gets calculated at the SQL engine or not. So just go to SQL. So wherever it shows that SQL, right, SQL change, that SQL change means the SQL engine, it gets calculated at the SQL engine. So you just scroll little bit down. So once you scroll here, just try to see here now condition. Region ID in 5, 3, 7, 1, 6. So what is this 5, 3, 7, 1, 6, right? So these are your regions basically. Whatever regions that are getting displayed on the report. So region will have ID, region will have name. So if you remember in the table, right, we used to have category ID, category description, region ID, region name. So now you're displaying the descriptive part, but you want to see the IDs, right? So just select that region, then you look at this attribute forms. Then you have something called ID description. So generally select ID. So once you select this ID, you could see here now 1, 3, 5, 6, 7. The same thing will show up in the SQL. But generally on the report, you don't generally try to display that ID numbers because that is not helpful for the business on any lines, this ID numbers. So it is only used for conditional checking. So whenever you apply report filter, that condition is going to add at the SQL engine, and once it adds that condition, then it goes to database and then it brings the data. Once it brings the data from the data warehouse, on top of that data, if you need to add any extra filter, you need to add extra filter or extra condition, what you can do is you can make use of a view filter. For example, simply I'm in design view. So just what I do basically is, say you want to add some particular condition. So before that, what condition I'll apply? So just let me show you. I want to apply condition on profit, but let me show you the profit values. So there is a report. I'm just trying to run this. Okay, so now look at these values here. You see 93,000, then 3 lakh, and so on. Basically, my requirement is I want to eliminate all the values with less than 1 lakh. So for which, after running the report, you can apply view filter. That is one thing. Or else, thing is, you go to design view, and in the design view, also you can apply a view filter. So just click on this, go to field, and then profit. What is that condition we require? Greater than, type a value. So just type in that number, then write. So just try to run your report. So now do you see any value less than 1 lakh here? Earlier you have seen when you didn't have this view filter. So do you see any particular value here? Less than 1 lakh. Yes or no? You don't see any value less than 1 lakh. So now you agree both the filters got applied. I mean both conditions got applied. If you agree, the condition, the first condition, that is region in south, southeast, southwest, northeast, northwest, 5 regions were there. And then basically what happened is when I applied condition like profit greater than 1 lakh, so you see like now only 4 regions is getting displayed. There is another region that is missing, that is a southeast. Anyone, any inputs? 5 southeast is missing here. There is 196,000 or something. Okay. So because in that southeast you have an employee wherein that profit less than 1 lakh, hence that particular region itself is removed. So on that lines you have condition as on the region, that is report filter, and then on the view filter also the profit greater than 1 lakh. But again, if you go to SQL to understand where each one of them gets calculated or evaluated, so you just go to SQL engine. In the SQL engine, so just try to see. So whatever the region you have, right? So just you scroll down. So once you scroll down, so in that particular lines, just try to observe here. So region ID in 53716, still it is bringing 5 regions, not 4. Southeast also it is bringing, but again, based on your view filter, whatever like the view filter it is applying, right? So that particular your view filter, so on that specific things, like we have applied condition on say profit, right? So based on that, what is happening is, so it is calculating that particular thing and then eliminating that. But you don't see that profit greater than 1 lakh condition in your where clause. In your where clause you don't see that profit condition, because what it does basically is your report filter basically, right, it gets calculated, your report filter, whatever your report filter, it gets calculated at the SQL engine, and then view filter gets evaluated at the analytical engine. View filter gets evaluated at the analytical engine. So people who didn't remember, very simple. So first you run report, it goes to server, from the server it checks in cache queue, that is a secondary, we don't require that. So first to server, then to metadata. In the metadata it collects the object definitions, then it passes to SQL engine. So during that SQL engine it is going to add whatever condition you have defined in the report filter. So whatever you have given in report filter, so There was a person who asked, can we give multiple condition? Yes, you can give it. You can give 1, you can give 3, you can give 4. So based on like using some logical operators. So you apply one condition or you apply multiple condition. So all these conditions gets added in the SQL engine. Whatever you define in report filter, then that gets passed to the data warehouse. And from the data warehouse, for that condition, whatever it meets, it is going to bring the data. And once it brings the data, it passes the control to analytical engine. And at the analytical engine, it is going to check if any of the view filter is applied, and then it is going to evaluate that view filter. It is going to evaluate that view filter. So where report filter will be evaluated? Report filter will be evaluated at the SQL engine. Sorry, report filter gets evaluated at SQL engine, whereas view filter gets calculated at the analytical engine. So is that point clear? So report filter gets calculated or evaluated right at the SQL engine, whereas view filter gets applied at the where? At the analytical engine. That is first point. Second point is, when you are using report filter, do you see the condition in SQL where region ID in 1, 6, 5, 7, 3? Yes, you can see it. So when you use report filter, it is going to have impact on the SQL. Impact on the SQL means on the where clause of the SQL, you see the condition. So whenever you are using report filter, it is going to impact the SQL. It is going to impact the SQL. Whereas in case of view filter, there will not be any impact on the SQL. There will not be any impact on the SQL. So just remember these 2 points. Report filter gets evaluated at SQL engine and view filter at analytical engine. And in case of report filter, you see an impact on the SQL or where clause, and for analytical engine or say for the view filter which gets calculated at analytical engine, there will not be any impact on the SQL. So is that point clear, guys? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are moving on. Say something like, I require inputs from you, say for like next whatever time we spend. So what I'm doing basically is, I'm just clearing of this and then clicking on apply. So you could see now values less than 1 lakh as well. And then basically I want to just try to observe the condition whatever I'm creating. I'm even removing my report filter as well. So now do you have any filter on report, or when I run this report, will it bring all 8 regions or only south regions and north regions? So it will bring for all 8. Perfect. So just you run this report. Okay, so if you look at this one, so you bring central, mid-Atlantic, and then you just scroll down north, south, and apart from that, at last you will have a web. So all these 8 regions you got data. Fine, perfect. So now basically look at these values here. Now look at the central employee where Nancy is working. So she has generated a profit of, say for example, 1,20,000, 1,26,000. And basically how many years data we have in our project? So how many years data we have in our project? 3 years. 2010, 2011, 2012, not 5. So it is for 3 years. 10, 11 and then 12. 10, 11 and 12. We have data only for
3 years.
3 years. Fine.
Yes.
Okay, so on that lines, now just try to see here now. You see a 9C was generated value of 1,26,778. So now the question for you guys, just try to focus here now on the question. I'm getting into design view and then I'm just getting into my report filter, and on my report template I have region, employee and then profit. So I'm just getting into attribute qualification. So just click OK. Once you do it, then click on browse and then just get to time, and then I'm just selecting here Do we have year on the report? First thing.
No.
No, we don't have year on the report, but still I'm applying condition. Just look at this one. Year, elements, and list. Click on add, and then say for example, I'm choosing up 2010. So now my condition is year in list 2010, and this year is neither part of my report template or it is not part of my report objects as well. But I am applying condition on year. The first thing basically, when I run this report, the first question basically whether it runs or not. Okay, assuming if it doesn't run because year is not present on the report. So whenever I run this report, assuming if this particular report runs or not is first question, and if it is going to run, right, then basically what do you think will be the result? The result will be same, that 1,26,000 odd, or like no. Report runs but values changes. Value changes means it will be greater than 1,26,000 or less than 1,26,000.
Less than.
Sorry?
Less than.
Less than whatever value you have seen, 1,26,000. Okay.
Yes.
So let's try to see. So the reason being is basically earlier there was no condition. So this report bought data for that 3 years, 10, 11, 12, the sum of all 3 years basically. So now as you have applied the condition on year, so even though year is not present on the report template, still it applies the condition. If you go to where clause, I mean in the SQL view, under the where, you see year ID in list 2010. So now whatever value you are seeing is for only 2010. Fine. Getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now basically the thing is I'm getting into design view, and in the design view, so what I'm doing basically is I'm just trying to remove my year in list, and then I just come here, and then for a minute I want to apply same condition instead of report filter on the view filter assume for a minute. So I just click on view filter, and in the view filter I just select this one. So I want to apply the same condition, year ID in 2010. Can I do that or I cannot do that? So if you look at this field, do you see any year getting displayed here?
No. No.
No. So you can, using view filter, you can apply condition only onto these objects. Okay, fine. If you want to see after running this report, so just try to save this for a minute, and then just try to run this report, and you want to apply condition on a view filter after running. Yes, we can do it. So I want to apply it after running. So I have executed it. So once I have executed it, click on the tick. Fine. So just click on field. And once you click on filter, you see year here. Yes or no? You don't see year. And then what I'm doing basically is I'm just selecting my employee. So when I move employee to report objects, what is this process called?
Dynamic aggregation.
It is called a dynamic aggregation. Yeah, perfect, good. So I'm just doing this specific thing. I'm moving an employee here. Alright, so now the question here is, I could see a region and then profit, and on my report objects, I could see region, employee and profit. The question here is, when you try to apply view filter, right, what do you think you'll be seeing? I can apply condition on region profit, or I can apply condition on region, employee and then profit.
Employee region profit.
Employee region and profit. So to all the objects which are present in your report objects. Yeah, good. So just you select this one, then go to field. Just look at this one, region, employee and then profit. You can apply condition to all the objects which are present in the report objects, not on the report template. So just remember, so using view filter, you can apply condition to all objects like attributes, metrics present where in the which section?
Report objects.
Report object section. But whereas when you went into report filter, I'll show you. So using view filter, the limitation is you can apply condition to only objects present in the report object section. Whereas I'm just getting into my report filter definition section. So just open this report filter definition. So just double click here. So once you double click here, just try to see here now. Add an attribute qualification. Just select this one. And then here it is asking you to browse an attribute. Browse which attribute means you just browse here. You can browse any attribute present in the project. You can browse any attribute present in the project, or else when you go for the second one, you can apply condition to any metric present in the project, to any metrics present in the project. So again, the limitation is using view filter, you can apply condition to only objects present in the report object section. Whereas using this report filter, you want to apply condition on any attribute present in the project or else any metric, not one metric or two metric. So you just go to set qualification, then click OK, and once you do it, then you can click here browse, and then you can apply condition on any metric present in the project, on any metrics present in the project. So you can just browse any metric and then try to apply the condition. So in this way, the other point you have seen basically is using view filter, you can apply condition to only objects present in the report objects, whereas using report filter, you can apply condition to any attributes and metrics present in the project, to any attributes and metrics present in the project. So again, I just repeat. So report filter gets evaluated at the SQL engine, whereas view filter at the analytical engine. And when we use report filter, whatever condition you provide under report filter, it will show up in the SQL at the where clause. And whatever condition you give in the view filter, it will not show up in the SQL, or SQL doesn't have any impact as it gets calculated at the analytical engine. And the third difference we have seen is, in case of view filter, you can apply condition to all the objects which are present in the report object section. Whereas using report filter, you can apply condition to all attributes and all metrics present in the project. To all attributes and all metrics present in the project. Fine. Clear so far everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right. So one last difference we'll see. There is only one difference more between these two. So we'll just see it. Basically, now a report filter where we are creating is after opening the report, we get to view report filter definition and we are writing here a new condition. But assume whatever condition you are writing, for an example, region enlist south and north regions or region only enlist south region, you have that condition across various reports. What you can do is you can create report filter in other way. So how to create report filter in other way, I'll just show you as how you are creating a report. So in a similar fashion, so what you can do is you can get to this metrics folder. In the metrics folder, sorry, filters folder, so just simply right click, go to new, and how you are creating a new report, right? So on similar lines, you get an option to create the filter as well. So you can create a new filter as well. So just get to that filter and then click on this empty filter. So just double click here, add an attribute qualification. So just click OK. And then I'm writing some condition, some specific condition. So for example, just browse here, then get to geography, and within this geography, get to region. Then click on add. Right, so and then what I'm doing is I'm just adding south, southeast, then southwest. So I've added only the regions which belongs to south. So just do it. Click on this OK. And then just save this. So I'm just saving this one as save this as a south region. Okay, so whatever filter we are creating, again this is also report filter. So report filter can be created as separate object, means as like how do you create report, right? You can just right click, then go to new, and within this new you can just create a filter as a separate object, or else you can create the same report filter within the report. So whenever you create a report filter within the report, like in our earlier example, that is called an embedded or local filter. So that is called embedded, means you are embedding that in a report, or you are creating that within a report, local or embedded filter. Whenever you create a filter as a separate object like this, right? So then it is called as a standalone filter. So once you create that as a standalone filter, right, then what is advantage basically is, so just you come to this one and then you want to create up a new report, assume for a minute. So I just go to new, and within that specific thing, so just click on report, new report, and within the new report, right, so what I want is another report, assume for a minute. So I'm just trying to create up, say, one report with year wise regional sales, the other one with regional wise category sales. I have different reports in my, say, project, assume. So wherever you want to have that filter, right, so just try to see. So just place your year and then just place up your region, and then just get to metrics, then say sales metric, and then profit, then go to public objects, where we have placed our filters. You need to go to that folder I placed under filters instead of creating a condition here. So what is that we do, basically this will act as a template, that's it. So once you create that as a separate object, so you can just simply drag and drop. and that entire condition gets added. Similarly, you want to add this condition in 10 reports, open that report, drag and drop into the report filter section, drag and drop into the report filter section. So in this way, once you create your report filter as a standalone filter, your report filter as a standalone filter, you can apply or you can reuse that in a multiple reports. If you look at here, you see only that south region reports. So what does that mean basically is, so once you create any filter as a separate object, report filter basically, you can reuse that in as many number of reports you want. You want to use in 10, 20, 100, you can just do it. Only you need to drag that filter and place in the report filter definition. Whereas the view filter, whatever you create, right, so it cannot be saved as separate object. So the view filter, again you want some condition, again within the report you need to write again a new one. You need to write a new one. So just remember, so the report filter can be reused in multiple reports when created as separate object, whereas view filter is limited to single report, whereas a view filter is limited to single reports. So just remember this point. So this is also the key point. Report filter can be reused across multiple reports, whereas the view filter, right, it is limited to only a single report. So these are like four different differences we can figure out between a report filter and view filter, and differences between both of them is very common question. So just remember these points, everyone. So we'll just end here, and tomorrow we'll just start with report filter types. What is attribute qualification? What are the different ways we can qualify? And what is symmetric qualification? And what are the different operators we can use there? Or what are the different functions we'll use in? So that will be again some important thing. But again, for people in India, like I think you had yesterday installation session. So basically, I hope you have to start your practicals from today itself. You should not postpone. And all the persons who are logging from US. So yeah, I'm just talking basically on a installation of this particular thing in some server on a VM, and wherein you can access to practice it. So probably I'll have some update by tomorrow, I mean class timing, but hopefully by in a day or two, even you will have an access to connect to this interface MicroStrategy developer and then start working on the reports. So because before we start metrics, everyone should have at least some exposure creating one or two basic reports, reports. So fine. So we'll just catch up tomorrow, and then we'll just try to spend 1.5 hour and then try to see on our filters till which point we can complete, at least on attribute qualification and set qualification. If we complete, then that will be great. So let's see where, I mean, till which point we'll understand. That is another the key thing. But before you come to class, so one simple assignment I want to give us. So there is a say database concept called people some might be knowing, but others who doesn't know. So I want you to search something called null and not null. So null null and then not not null not null, null and not null in the Google. So I want you to search that one, null and then not null in the database. So it is not okay. So guys, so just try to just take these assignments seriously. So daily I'll be giving one assignment or two based on like how we get into the sessions. So basically I expect answer in our next session. If no one tells, we'll not have the session as well on that day. So that time we'll spend how to search in Google. Right. So I want what is the difference between null and not null as per database, and you search in Google, probably it takes 15-20 minutes max. And I want everyone to do that before you come to session. Fine, everyone.
Fine, sir.
Okay. Okay then. That case, thanks all. We'll catch up tomorrow, and then yeah, I will continue.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, bye.